welcome again to Media and More with the Mediocre Modeler. You know, I created Media and More so I could talk about stuff other than the models, obviously. But it's been all media. There hasn't been any more until now. With a name like Mediocre Modeler, you would assume that the majority of my hobby time thought process is focused on models, which it is. But there's also another side that I play video games. I game. Well, I only play a handful of video games, but when I play them, I play them. And there's also movies. Not so much collecting, but it is in there. There is a little bit of collecting in there. My mindset has always been, if I didn't actually build it, do I really care to show it? Because I figure anybody can buy it, so what makes it special? But this is special to me because of the character. Although my favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back, my favorite character is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now granted, my introduction to him in episode 1 was a good start, but I really fell in love with the character by the time we got to episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and it really sunk in Clone Wars, which is where you get the General Kenobi uniform. I like the blend of the armor with the Jedi robes, and not just the whole, even though the full Jedi armor clad with just the cape is good, I like this version better. I do have the helmet with it just to show, but I like what Ewan McGregor did with this character. And I ordered this over 18 months ago. But this is where the collecting comes in, because I saw that and I'm like, I gotta have it. And then they made another one. Yeah, this is where the collecting part comes in, because this one was from Obi-Wan. And I know it's controversial. A lot of people didn't really care for the way that particular story played out. But by the time we got to the end, I think there was a really good story arc for this character. And this was where, after putting down all his Jedi training, after just being all of these years of sedentary and being basically off-site babysitter, he had to become Obi-Wan the Jedi again. And the floating rocks, that scene was just, that's my Obi-Wan. That's the character I fell in love with. So when I wasn't sure I was going to keep it. You know, I'm looking at the notifications of it coming in, and I'm just like, I don't know. But when I got it and I looked at it outside the box and saw it, I'm just like, yeah. Now, and again, these are very nice. It comes with several different arms. The lightsabers on both of them light up. You can change the direction of his eyes and all that. And I don't need all that fanciness, but just the character. It just captures the character so well for me. So I don't think I need any more hot toys. I'm good. This is going to be it. Sometimes a smaller representation is exactly what you need. And I think this definitely, between the two, they fit the bill. Even though people are tired of hearing the stories of the Jedi, and there's so much more to Star Wars than Jedi. Well, yeah, there can be. But I like the Jedi. I like the stories that they have to tell. I like what they stand for. Now, Mace Windu, when he came on the scene, he in episode 1, he just kind of walked around and listened. And then we get to see what kind of a Jedi he can be in episode 2. Now, I stumbled upon a clip that I had never seen before. And it kind of changed my perspective of Mace Windu. I don't know about you, but I'd watch an hour and a half of that. Now, granted, they cut it down because I don't know. Maybe they didn't want that message to be sent. That's not how Jedi do, or whatever. But I had listened to an audiobook. I listen to audiobooks as well, and the audiobook for Mace Windu that stood out to me was Shatterpoint. And this was when they were writing these books, every Jedi had their own kind of connection to the Force, where that was their thing. Where Mace Windu's was being able to see the Shatterpoint of a particular situation, any situation. There was like a Shatterpoint, and he had to find that Shatterpoint, or he could see it, and that would be where he would change the direction of a battle, or whatever the case may be. Which I guess is okay, but what I didn't like about Shatterpoint was that it was based in kind of a jungle theme, and that was, and the big bad guy was a big brooding jungle guy or whatever, based on this. I think it was back to his home planet. I can't remember, but it's just like I just didn't like that. So when they announced there was a new audio book coming out, and it's called Mace Windu: The Glass Abyss, I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. And the reason I like this story, because I don't do any research. I just kind of okay, let's go. And the story starts off with the funeral of Qui-Gon Jinn, and you get to see that there's this relationship, a friendship between Mace Windu and Qui-Gon Jinn. I don't know if it goes so far as that they went through the academy together, but they were friends. They were really good, friends. And after he dies, he gives Qui-Gon gives Mace an errand, if you will, to go and take care of something that he started that he needed Mace to finish for him. The thing that I kind of like about this story is it has the camaraderie of, okay, I'm going to finish what my friend started. I'm going to do this final thing before I move on to do these other things. But while on this adventure, he finds things out about himself. One of the things that I do like from the Clone Wars, where you find out with Obi-Wan that he had gotten into an adventure and fell in love with the Mandalorian senator. And at the end of the day, he walked away, right? Obi-Wan, he walked the Jedi path and went back. They separated, even though in the Clone Wars, they admit to each other, just like, had you said, let's go, they'd have gone. And that's a powerful thing. And I think that's what they were trying to do with this Mace Windu thing. Now, what it ended up doing for me was, by the end of this, he did meet someone, and they had a relationship, or you could see the blossoming of one beginning there. But what it did is open my mind up to the idea that what if Mace Windu survived? This would give him someplace to go and be off the grid for a while to where he could come back. So I was happy with the way the audiobook ended. It, like I said, it wasn't perfect. It felt like it drug on a little bit, but at the end of the day, I felt better about this story and rendition and ending of Mace Windu as opposed to where it ended with Shatterpoint and the possible conclusion of Mace Windu in Revenge of the Sith. So, check out that audiobook. While we're talking about audiobooks, one of the things I've been wanting to do for the longest time was revisit the original Thrawn trilogy books. Those books are so important because they breathed new life into the Star Wars universe after a time of darkness. And now we're seeing a lot of these characters come back in the new canon, at least versions of them. And the new Thrawn just kind of, I wanted to do a comparison in my head between the Thrawn we have now and the one we were originally given. And I'll have to say that those stories really held up. Thrawn is such a great character. I mean, I don't ever really root for the bad guy, but he's an interesting enough character where you go, okay, he's giving our heroes a run for their money. And knowing where they start with that and then moving forward into getting Thrawn in Rebels and now Ahsoka and maybe into The Mandalorian, being able to look at the two comparatively, I think they've done a good job. I think they've done a decent job with carrying that character on through. I had forgotten a few things about the original trilogy, but there are certain things that stood out in my memory like the whole thing, Lady Vader. That was one of those things that I couldn't wait till they started the Lady Vader thing, and I couldn't remember what the whole thing was with that. Admiral Pelion and how vital a role that he played in that whole story. So that would be one to check out if you have the time. And the beautiful thing about it is I've got them all on Audible, and all three were unabridged. And I really hate it when you can only find an abridged copy of an audiobook, and these were all three unabridged, so I feel like I hit gold. I hit the jackpot in listening to these stories. And for the final audiobook, we're going to leave the Star Wars universe for one of my other favorite universes. No, not that one. That one. For a show that just went one season and a movie, and granted, it was a pretty good season and a pretty good movie. I take that back. It was a very good season, a very good movie. It's exhibiting some long legs because they just released the 9th book in the Firefly series called Aim to Misbehave. The thing I really love about the Firefly series is it's in such a different universe. Like, there's Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica. They all have their own lingo and terminology, whatever. But Firefly's on a whole different level. I mean, it's a Western in space, and the thing about the audiobooks is the people that they have reading them do a really good job of impersonating the actors that originally played the characters. So in this book, we get a little bit of background on Shep Book and find out, well, we always knew he wasn't a shepherd, and there was kind of a dark past, and we get a little peek behind that curtain as to how dark that past was. Where kind of his, not quite his origin story, but well, yeah, probably you could call it his origin story. But not all of it. But enough to make you go, yeah. And by the end of it, I also bristle against comedy. Okay, I'm not... Comedy from the moment in a story, I'm okay with. But like a comedy sci-fi, save Red Dwarf, I'm typically not going to just be all in for. But this has it all. It's a really good story. It's funny. It's suspenseful. And by the end of it, you feel like you've been on an adventure. It's almost kind of like the A-Team in space too, because they just kind of fly around doing stuff, solving people's problems. Well, for money, but again, if you enjoyed anything Firefly, I would highly suggest you pick up one of the audiobooks and give it a listen. Well, that's all I have for you this time on Media and More. I'll try and get some more in there, but it looks like we're doing pretty good on the media. So, until next time. Pew 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 pew.